Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off with our to-do list app. So the last time, if you recall, we just set up the basic, basically we got our table view set up, and right now this is what our app is looking like. We got, this is my cell, so we're returning some information in our cells. So we're going to add to that today by, we're going to apply, put an array in here. So we're just going to get some different information showing up in each row of our table view. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and quit that. Let's get rid of our simulator and let's bring our Xcode. There we go. So big screen. So here's where we left off. All right, so again, we've got our two methods in place: number of rows and cell for row index path. Where we're returning the two rows, and down here is where we basically determine in cell for row index path what's going to show up in each row. So we set that up by casting our variable cell as a table view cell, and then setting the text label to "this is my cell." So we're gonna expand upon this a little today, and we're gonna bring in the use of an array here. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create an array of items we need to do. Okay, so that's what we're gonna populate our table with. So let's go up to the top of our code here and do just that. Okay, so we'll do this below our IV outlet for our table view. Let's create a variable and call it to do items. Okay, so that'll be our variable, and we're going to make it an array. All right, and we're going to go ahead and put some values in here. Okay, so let's put a couple things in there. So we'll say do homework, walk the dog, and go to work. Okay, so those seem like good things to do here. So those will be the items that are going to show up on our to-do list. Okay, so this is the array that's going to impact our table. So now to get this information, to do homework, walk the dog, and go to work into our table view, we've got to update our methods down below. So we'll start with the number of rows and sections. Because right now when we have return 2, until we change this number 2, anytime we run this app, the table view will only show 2 sections, or 2 rows, excuse me, and we do not want that. We want this to be flexible, and we want this to return the number of items that are in the array. All right, so that's the key thing there. We want it to return the number of items that are in the array. And again, that's still an int. We're still dealing with a number here. So we're going to return the items from this array to do items. So we're going to call to do items. Let this start auto-completing here. Okay, well, it's taking time there, but so we're going to return to do items. And then we got to access a property. It's actually popped up right away for us here. So the one that's currently highlighted for us is the count property of this array. Okay, so as you can see, it is an integer. All right, so that matches up to the return type of this function because that's return an int. Count is an int. Okay, and as it says down here, how many elements the array stores. So by hitting enter here, saying .count, we're essentially saying that this table view is going to return the number of items that are in this to-do array. So right now there's 3, so there'll be 3 rows in this here. So that's the first part. Second thing we need to do is we need to update our cell for row at index path. Okay, so we want each row to show do homework, another row to show walk the dog, and then the third row to show go to work. Okay, so we need to make some changes down here to what we've done. Okay, so a lot of the work's already in place. All right, but we're actually going to go ahead and update it here. Let's do this here. I'm going to go ahead and comment out this top line. Oh, it's not there. I'm going to comment out this line just so we can see the difference between what we've done. So again, this line, we don't have really any capability to do much more here than other than just we're returning the cell. All right, we need to access the array. Okay, so we got to access the different indexes of the array, so we got to do things a little bit differently here. Okay, so the first thing, let's go ahead and just create a variable cell. Again, it won't be a problem because this is commented out here. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do here, the same thing, we're going to call the table view we made. So table view. All right, let's go ahead and choose that one. Again, this table view is coming from up here. All right. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to call DQ reusable cell with identifier because we're going to be reusing the cell. But you see we have some different options here. Okay, so the last time we used the top one because we were just worried about the identifier. We need to choose option 2 here today because now we're still going to use the identifier cell. Okay, but we also now need to access the index which is being called here. All right, so let's hit enter on option 2 here, or just double click on it. Okay, so now we got to add some code. So the identifier is cell. All right, again, that's coming from the storyboard, and we set the identifier. And then the index path, okay, is simply, not kind, that doesn't make sense, index path, okay? So basically what this is saying is that this cell, okay, is going to go ahead and, okay, it's going to, as it goes through and populates the cell, it's going to look for the index and pull it from there, okay? So what we can do from here, all right, we got just a few more things that we need to update here as we go. All right, is as always, let's see here. Let's go ahead and cast this as a UI table view cell. Okay, get our enter right there for us. Okay, we're just going to clean up some of these mistakes here. So there goes our errors there. So again, we always need to say that, hey, this cell is a table view cell, so we always got to add that. We always need to cast it at the end here. All right, so now we're almost done. Okay, so now at this point, we've got our cell pretty much configured. It's going to be reusable. It's going to use the identifier cell, okay, and it's going to pull from the index path. Now the next thing we need to do is say, well, what index are we pulling from? What array? All right, and that's what we're going to put into each of these cells that populates in our table view. So until cell text label.text, we're going to get rid of that because we don't want it to say this is my cell. We want each cell or each row to have do homework, walk the dog, and go to work. So we're going to set cell.textLabel.text. We're going to set that equal to the array. So in this case, to do items. All right, and then we're going to access the index path row. So we're going to go index path. There we go, dot row. So what we're saying here is that the text in each of the cells is going to be equal to the index path row of to-do items. So as it goes through and returns the information, again, it's going to go through the array. It's going to go for each. So here's index 0, do homework. It's going to return that here, walk the dog. So each time it goes through a different index, it's going to set that text label to whatever the next index is, all the way up until there's no more. So in this case, there's going to be 3, 0, 1, and 2. All right, so again, that's why, again, the cell's being reused over and over again, but just each time it's being reused, it's bringing out a different value in there. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. Take a look at what's happening here. There we go, starting to load up now. All right, so this will be good to see because you'll see now that hopefully if we've done this correctly, our table view is going to show the 3 things we need to do on our to-do list, the 3 items. All right, well, I apologize for this delay here. So let's do this here. So as that's taken its time to load up there. So again, just as you look at the code here, again, the difference from what we did in part 1 to part 2 is we changed our cell variable. So instead of just using the cell identifier, we also use the index path. Okay, so basically that's using this parameter here, cell for row index path. We're using this index path now with the cell. So every time this cell is used, it's going to go ahead and use the different index from that array. And again, it's cast as a table view cell. Cell.textLabel.text is equal to do items index path.row. So for each index in to do items, it's going to set that equal to the text of that cell, and then that's going to happen as many times as there is an item in the array. So again, we're not going to hard code 1, 2, or 3. We're going to be flexible, and then it has whatever's in the array will show up in our table view. All right, so again, we'll go ahead and show you this. So at this point, you can go ahead and fast forward this here, or pause it, or not pause it, fast forward to we can get to the final view here. And then there's not much more we're going to do at this step here. So if your simulator is working quicker on yours, then awesome. If you're seeing the 3 items in the table view, very good. If you're having any issues or mistakes, again, just check the code. Make sure that you're not missing any of the things that you see on the screen here. And then if you're still having problems or issues, just see me in class here, and I'll help you out. But so this is the foundation. This is a basic table view app. So you got a lot of things happening. The next video we'll watch, we'll talk about how to make this a little more flexible, where the user can enter in the items they want. So rather than saying to do do homework, walk it all, go to work, we're going to talk about, or we're going to show you how the user can use a bar button item to add their own items to this to-do list item, so it's a little more personal there. So okay, so there we go. So as you can see, we've got our 3 items: do homework, walk the dog, go to work, showing up nicely in our table view. It's returning the 3 rows, so that's outstanding. All right, so again, nice job following along with me here. Appreciate you bearing with some of the technical issues there, but that's all I got.